The following video will analyse an athlete performing an overarm throw using his preferred and non-preferred throwing arm. This fundamental movement skill contains the following performance criteria according to the Tasmanian Fundamental Motor Skill Manual. The body is side-on with weight on the rear foot and eyes focused on the target. The ball is held in the fingers while the throwing arm extends backwards with elbow down. The thrower steps forward onto the foot opposite the throwing arm and shifts weight forward to the front foot during the throw. When stepping forward, the thrower will rotate their upper body from side on to face forward during the throw. Here, the athlete is performing an overarm throw with his preferred and non-preferred throwing arm prior to any prescribed training. We can see here that the athlete's preferred arm is his right. He begins by positioning himself side on to the target and focusing on where he aims to throw. To begin the throwing motion, he shifts his weight onto his rear foot, extends his arm backwards with his elbow remaining down. Once his throwing arm reaches a cocked position, he shifts his weight towards his front foot, creating arm acceleration for a powerful release. As he accelerates, his upper body will rotate to face forward, thus allowing his arm to follow through towards his hip after release. Here we can see the athlete performing the skill using his non-preferred arm. Initially, he positions himself less side-on than his preferred arm. He then makes an error of not pointing his leading arm towards his desired target. During the throwing motion, the athlete fails to extend his arm back far enough, which leads to his elbow being in a poorly cocked position, and by taking a small stride forward, he fails to transfer his weight adequately enough to generate a forceful release, which is evident by the minimal follow-through. To improve overall performance of the non-preferred throw, 3 progressive activities were prescribed to the athlete. A seated throw was first used to help the athlete purely focus on their arm and shoulder movement when performing the throw. Following from that, the athlete performed some standing throws at a target, with throwing distance increasing as performance improved. Finally, to simulate an in-game scenario, the athlete performed overhand throws to a partner in a fixed position and then on the move. Following the prescribed training, we can now see a significant improvement in the athlete's non-preferred throwing arm. He now has a better starting side-on position. His leading arm is now being pointed towards the desired target. In the step forward phase, we can see the throwing arm moved further back and into a right-angled cocked position. As the leading foot plants, there is an improved stride length, which indicates a greater weight transfer. And at the point of release, the athlete is now facing forward and following through across his body.